Hello, and welcome, guys, to another edition of um, the challenge. And wow, we've already gone to about 46 days of challenges, and it's been quite a journey. And we're about a week and a half away from completing it and kind of calling it a year for you guys. But I do hope that you'll be going back to some of these videos and redoing some of these challenges and really getting the help you need for um, your journey in either next steps in junior high or senior high. So let's go over this one here. It's a little bit shorter than the one we had before. And as always, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be dividing this out into sections. So I have a lot of periods, and just make sure I have that selected. Good. Oops. There we go. And we have a sentence over here. There's a period. And let me just close these so we don't get any messages. Period over here, comma over here, period. And then we've got a period here, a comma here, another comma, a period, a comma, and a period. So a little bit more punctuations than we've had in the last challenge. And right away, I'm doing this to kind of just get the idea, a gist of what I'm dealing with. And I have some short sentence here, a little bit long one there. I have a list of something right here, and then a very short sentence here at the end. So again, giving myself a very visual interpretation of what I'm looking at, okay? So remember, use your punctuations to your advantage. Punctuations, like I told you guys before, is a relatively new thing. Back in the days, periods and commas were not used, so you had to kind of make out the end and beginning of clauses based on endings of words or certain transitions. So right here, we now that we have this divided, let's go into finding subject, and there it is right there. And then I have a pause. As I go through this sentence, I see an and there it is. Okay, so I pay attention to those conjunctions, and this conjunction does not have a comma in front of it, which means whatever is following this conjunction is going to have to do with either the subject of the previous sentence or it's part of a list. So for example, let's say Ewing and something else, but because what follows this conjunction is a verb, this means that this predicate is a part of this subject right there. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to continue looking at any other noun case. Just found my subjects and predicates and I'm moving on. So now I have another subject right here, I and do. Okay, and then we got at exactly 7:25. That's a prepositional expression. There's no subject. How do I know it's a prepositional expression? Because it starts with a preposition, at, and of course you're going to say at what, and we get 7:25. So again, prepositional phrases are not subject predicate. Okay, so the next one after the comma is my subject, and that's countless. And right off the bat, we got our predicate right next to it, which is the verb prove. And then there's no ends, nothing else, so I move on. My father calls. So notice that my is not the subject. Father is the subject. My is simply a possessive, which tells the reader whose father it is. And then predicate calls. Okay. Next, we have they are, which is right here. They. And once again, we have the linking or auxiliary verb are or is. And again, if it's followed by an ing, then you are looking at an auxiliary verb. But in this case, we have simple adjectives right there, which means that this is a linking verb. Next, their primary purpose. So once again, there is a possessive, and primary is an adjective, but purpose is our subject. And then we have is again. And once more, the linking verb or an auxiliary verb. If it's auxiliary, is there an ing here, guys? Nope, it just says to guard, which means that it's just a linking verb. So whatever comes after this linking verb is going to be talking about the subject. Same thing here. Whatever follows the linking verb is going to be describing the subject. Next, we have another prepositional phrase from preposition what, and then simple I, subject, and predicate, don't know. Okay, now that we found our subjects and predicates, let's move on to the noun cases. So I pause, and remember, pause is a verb of motion. It does not take a direct object, so we have a preposition by, and then window is the object of the preposition. Sorry, I made that a little bit long there. We have the preposition in, and the in what, in Ewing, that's our object of the preposition. And then we are wait, okay? Again, waiting for, not wait for direct objects. Waiting, just as pausing, can be a verb of motion, so it takes preposition for. And dauntless, and then we have the infinitive verb, okay? In other words, the purpose of waiting is for the dauntless to arrive, and there it is right here, okay? This is what could be called a purpose clause, okay? Or waiting for the purpose of, or waiting for the sake of something to happen, okay? And it usually takes an infinitive right there. I do, what do? I do this, which is the direct object, every morning. Now, you can take every as a preposition. It isn't, because it's describing morning. And since it's a time that we're talking about, okay, what it is an adverb that's describing this, the verb do. So when do they do this, or when do I do this? In the morning, or every morning, okay? Next, at exactly, at, here's a preposition. And we have 725 as our object of preposition, and exactly is the adjective dealing with this. The dauntless prove, what do they prove? They prove bravery. Whose bravery? Their bravery, which is a possessive. And then we have this gerund, and we've met gerunds before. So a gerund is simply a verb turned into a noun, okay, that relies on a preposition. So by jumping, okay, this is a verb turned into a noun, from preposition, a train, and that's the object of preposition. Now moving is another, well, it's not really a gerund, it's a participle. So it's a verb that is turned into an adjective. And what's meant for you guys, and again, why do we do this? Why is it that the English language will take a verb and turn it into a noun or an adjective? It's not just the English language, it's also pretty much every single language in the world changes its verbs into nouns or adjectives. Why? Because you want to have this idea of motion, of action, taking place while something else is taking place. So in this case, what's going on is that the author's saying that the dauntless are proving their bravery, introducing an action word, jumping, as a gerund, okay, by jumping from, and you want to, if we just said from a train, cool, right? But to get you to imagine the train being in motion while they are jumping, you are using a very simple but very effective participle, present participle, and changing it into an adjective. There you go. So my father calls, who does he call? Or he calls the dauntless, which is here, helions, okay, which is a predicate nominative describing dauntless. Okay, and they are, and again, a whole bunch of predicate nominatives. Okay, they are pierced, tattooed, black-clothed, all referring to they, and their primary purpose is to guard. We have an infinitive. This is a predicate nominative, an infinitive, and a predicate nominative. Again, introducing a purpose clause to guard what? The fence. That, and once again, we reach this is, and please refer to the previous videos, the relative clause. And once again, just asking you guys to be aware of this that, okay, because that should be which, right? So it's the fence which surrounds our city, and this is relative to fence. Now, why is it that using that is not really encouraged unless you are trying to be very, very specific or derogatory towards a person you're trying to refer to. So I will never say, did you see the principal that stopped the student? Essentially, when I'm saying it this way, I'm trying to degrade or in some way insult the principal. Oh, it's that principal. Shakespeare did a lot of that with referring to villains in the plays. And when you guys do Shakespeare in senior high, pay attention to that. When he's recalling some kind of exchange between characters and there's a villain in there, right? So when you're just trying to use a very simple reference, use which or who, okay? So this should be a which because it's a subject of its own clause, relative clause. And right after it comes the predicate, surrounds. And what does it surround? It surrounds the city, which is a direct object, and whose city? Our city. Next, from what? From preposition, object of the preposition, and I don't know, we've already completed. Awesome. So last but not least, we deal with the verbs, and I pause is a first person, singular, present. It is simple, it's active, and it's indicative, it's true. And then we also have the wait, which is the same thing. So 2 times first person singular. Then we have I do. So I do, once again, is the same first person singular, present simple, active, indicative. Then the dauntless proof. So the dauntless will be third person, plural. It is also present simple. It's active. Oops. And indicative. Awesome. Then we have father calls. So father calls is third person singular. So I'll just copy and paste this down here. Singular. Then we have they are, and they are is another third person plural. And then we have primary purpose, or the purpose is. Okay, purpose is, so that is also third person singular. And we have offense, that. So that surrounds, it's also third person singular. And I don't know, okay, is a first person singular present simple. So we have a whole bunch of present simples in this entire section of the book. So in the next coming days, we should be able to finish chapter 1 of the book Divergent. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Hope you're learning a lot. And thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to watch this video. Take care and bye-bye.